Hey everyone, welcome to another entry in the Hyrule Compendium. And Mas, I don't know if there are any other games other than Ocarina of Time right now.
That's been our lives for the last 3-4 months, it seems.
No!
Yes,
no,
yes.
No, I can. Yes!
You're at a loss for words at how awesome I am at the water temple. Not even trolling when I say this is the easiest temple so far.
What?
It is.
Because we've been playing through it, we've been having a lot of thoughts on it. And one thing we want to talk about was the underrepresented classic Zelda enemies that appear in Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time actually introduced a lot of brand new enemies, but it did have a handful of the original Legend of Zelda in the first 4 games. And some of them, they did not give due justice to them, I'd say.
I mean, I was just playing it today, and I was just running back through the Sacred Forest Meadow, doing the collection, the trading sequence. You know, you encounter those Moblins there, and it got me thinking about this topic because I was like, well, it's kind of cool the first time you go through there. The Moblins are really scary, and they charge at you, and you're kind of underpowered. You can only really hit them with the hook shot, I think. When I was going back through the second time, and it was kind of just a chore to get through. And I was shooting them with arrows, and then you can mostly avoid them. That's the thing, is you can mostly avoid them. And I was thinking, dang, these are cool enemies in other Zelda games. Like they're like Ganon's.
They're his minions.
They don't come off like that in this game.
Yeah, I would say that the Moblins prior to Ocarina were the definitive Zelda enemy. Even in the TV show.
Yeah, Moblins! Only when I get to try first.
Like the Moblins, they were always made in his view. That was sort of like
They're
their
made
thing.
in his image.
Yes,
yeah.
That's exactly right. They were giant, like pigs and pig Moblins.
Yeah.
There's so many different variants in them as the series went on. They had cool models too. I like them.
They look awesome. They look like kind of how the classic ones looked brought into 3D, you know?
And there's also the club Moblin too.
Yeah.
Who looks ferocious.
He kind of makes up for the fact that they're underrepresented, just because when you get to him, it's like I said, it's, oh, you get there and they're scary. And then you get to him and he's like this big, scary one. So it's a really cool moment, but then you never see them again.
Right.
It would be kind of cool if they had, you know, implemented them in other places, I guess.
Yeah, if they sort of maybe designed their characters so that their only weapon wasn't just to charge. Mm-hmm. They would have to totally rework the enemy a little bit to make him like an overworld enemy, so that he can move horizontally and such.
Oh,
not just straight or back. But you know, make him more like an iron knuckle type battle.
You have enemies similar to it. You have the Stalfos and the Lizalfos and the Dinofos. You know, they'd have to be different in some way.
Yeah, they're just gigantic.
Yeah.
That helps their appeal a little bit.
I was thinking there are some that aren't, like, I wouldn't consider them underrepresented. Like Octoroks, I don't think is too bad, but when you think about it, they're only in like a couple places.
You know, generally speaking, in most Zelda games, outside of maybe 1 or 2 enemies, like a Keese or something, they're usually always isolated to a few areas. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're 2-3 areas. I mean, you don't want them in every screen or anything like that.
Yeah, I do like that they eventually, in Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword, they came back and were featured more, but they kind of overdid it, you know?
Yeah.
So I will say the one positive thing about Ocarina of Time is they do have it has a great diversity of enemies.
Yeah, it's a big cast of enemies. So another classic Zelda enemy that I think is underrepresented are the Leevers.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They're literally only in one location, I think.
Now, it does make a little bit of sense because they are sand-based creatures. Mm-hmm. So, you know, would it make sense for them to be in, I don't know, you know, Zora's River, I guess?
Yeah. Now, I know they're kind of limited with Ocarina of Time, so I don't want to harp on it too much, but when you traverse the overworld in the original Legend of Zelda, they kind of had like different areas that would feature. It would kind of make sense. Like Leevers would be in the desert or on the beach, you know, sandy areas, I guess. Hyrule Field in Ocarina of Time could have incorporated
They could have done
some
something
of that.
like that.
Like the area around Gerudo Valley, maybe Leevers could have come up. You know,
It became more of a desert as you went there, or maybe Lake Hylia expanded into Hyrule Field type.
yeah.
So the field.
Some could pop up around Lake Hylia, maybe, and it's not like it's a lake. It's not like a beach, but it's a beach. You know.
Yeah, why not?
It's not a beach, but it's a beach. Hyrule Field is kind of just not, there's not really enemies there for the most part, except our friend the Peahats.
Yes.
And
Which you can play the game and never encounter one.
yeah. Like, the main reason to go up to one is, oh, what is that? You know,
Yes.
you almost always do that, I feel like, your first time, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, if I'm trying to play through it quick now, I'll pretty much never see a Peahat.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, there's only like 2 or 3 of them, right?
Yeah, I think the whole, there might be a few more of them, but they're in that south port of Hyrule Field that nobody ever goes to. Their whole purpose is you see them right away, early in the game,
Yeah.
and they're so powerful, relatively speaking, for you if it's a first-time player, that you're almost always going to die.
Yeah.
Or you're going to run away. You know, they throw that at you as an obstacle, as you've left the forest, now you're in Big Boy World, you know. They could have put more of those guys, like, just random places. Put them on Death Mountain, put them on, you know, anywhere that you're outdoors, really, a Peahat could fit. There are a couple classic Zelda enemies that I felt were missing
Sure.
from Ocarina of Time. One of my favorite enemies was the Wizrobes. Wizrobes, I feel, have never really made a good 3D appearance.
Yeah, they did incorporate Wizrobe into Majora's Mask.
Yeah, and you fought them like 7 times, and all of them were bad.
Yeah.
It's a bad enemy.
Maybe this is a case of be careful what you wish for.
Yes.
'Cause you want Wizrobes, but then they add in Wizrobes, and it's too much. You want
Yeah.
more Moblins. Now, here are 1,000 Bokoblins, you know.
Right, yeah. Wizrobes in Breath of the Wild are also one of my least favorite enemies, too.
Oh, why don't you like them?
It's weird. They almost overdid them, I think.
Okay.
They're actually not that common. You know, it's like they needed to make the point that we have like 4 or 5 variants of every enemy.
Mm-hmm.
It got to a point wherever I encountered one, I was like, I wanted to avoid it. I didn't even want to deal with that thing.
Okay.
I didn't like fighting them.
That game has, with almost every enemy, fatigue, I think.
Right.
Like-
If there was fewer of them and they were isolated, and then you had different types of enemies in other locations, that would be better. That also, we mentioned Lynels. There was no Lynels in Ocarina of Time. One of
Yeah.
the most fearsome beasts in the first Zelda.
That would have been so cool. Yeah.
We eventually did get them in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, and they're cool. It's still cool. It is like there are probably too many, I think.
There are no ropes in Ocarina of Time.
That one's kind of surprising. I feel like
Yeah.
surprising. I don't know, but like
A snake, come on.
yeah,
Why
it's-
not?
It's a pretty common, simple enemy.
There's no dark nuts, but they have the iron knuckle. They're sort of the same enemy.
Yeah.
They were like a big challenge and adventure of Link, but over here they're turned into like a mini boss almost.
These are some enemies that are underrepresented in Ocarina of Time. Let us know if you agree. Let us know what other classic enemies you'd like to see come back. Like, what's
Petra.
Petra. Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. Petra needs to come back
Yes.
as a character.
As a character, not an enemy.
Yeah.
Is he a friendly Petra?
This is a whole different
I
topic.
think you can make Petra this gigantic overworld boss, like a huge eye with a bunch of floating eyes, and like, you know, imagine that was an overworld boss in Hyrule Field.
That would be epic. That would work perfect in a game like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a whole. I have a lot to say about that. So.
About Petra.
About Petra, yeah. Yeah, give us a like, subscribe if you enjoyed this, check out some of our other videos, and thank you for watching.